my entire life, I saw promises made, commitments that were never kept. I saw this distrust. I mean, I have this vivid memory of being like 11 years old, and I take that back. I'm probably 7.5, 8 years old, and it's my sister, myself, we're with dad, and mom and dad they're not together at this point. And I remember thinking, it's been like 2 days, and I don't know that we've ever spent 2 days with dad.
My next question was going to be, when did you embrace fatherhood? But maybe you could expand upon 10 years ago. What was the shift? Or, how many years ago, when was the shift where you went, man, fatherhood is so much more than providing? And how did you redefine it for yourself?
I think there's different periods over time. I think
For sure.
I think for me, it began with that first lie that, a father is responsible for their physical well-being, I would say. And that was kind of the first lie that I had in my head. And, when I look at that, I as it comes, as I look at that, the first time it was challenged, and that goes along with another one that was deep in my head, which was, I'm unlovable. And I say the first challenge I had to that was when my oldest was born. And, when you embrace your child for the first time, and when I looked at her and looked into her eyes and held her, that lie that was so pervasive in my own head just rocked. And I remember the first year, just there's this different sense of love and this way of being that it was nurturing. I was caring, and of course she can't talk back or do anything you don't like. So the first year's pretty darn easy. And, that's where it started. And then, of course, me being a guy, me being in my normal funk, I just start to put some armor on. And, and it's not till about age 5, I think, that it starts to show up. I get a little defensive around her. And, of course, my second daughter's been born by this point. And, of course, those, all that little bit of turmoil and mostly good. But I'm working 12, 15, 17 hours a day. That's my norm. I'm a small business guy. And there's some rocky periods of, you got the 2008 crash. I mean, all kinds of stuff's happening in life. And so I'm working more and providing more and providing more and providing more. And that's the story playing in my head over and over. And I think where it really hit me the hardest was during our Rise Up Kings event, the refinery. And then I can go through 20 different layers on my way there, but this is the one that like just absolutely buried it for me. And I know you've been through it. There's an event called the Sand Cookie. And as I'm going through this, it's this rotational deal that you're doing. And I look over, it's in California, there's a beautiful jetty. And I look out on this jetty and I see 3 girls. They're the exact same age as my girls at the time. And I think it was 14, 11, and 7. And they all walk out on the jetty, and they're all 3 of them are wearing these yellow raincoats. I mean, you look over, and this is how my girls dress. I mean, I look over, they got pink shoes, this beautiful yellow raincoats, and they're out on this jetty. And I watch them. And this event goes on for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, somewhere in there. And every time I'm doing a lap, I see these girls. And I keep going and going. And I don't know how many laps I've done. And I look up, and man, they're just gone. They're not on the beach. They're not on the jetty. They're not behind me. They're not in the water. No clue where they went. And it just hit me that that's the life with my girls. They're there, and then they're not. And am I going to stand back and be sedentary to it? Or am I going to be active? Am I going to be intentional? Am I going to actually reach out and embrace them?
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that I don't even know if those girls are really there. Did I hallucinate the whole thing? Because I never saw them again. And they weren't just, yellow raincoats and pink shoes. How did they leave the beach? So I don't know. But I think that was the nail in the coffin for me for it. And it really, it changed the whole paradigm in which I saw my family life. And, I'll tell you the adventure all the way up and to that point, there were just little pieces here and there, but that was the one that it was, how can I be the intentional father? And I think it was maybe a week later that I opened up your fatherhood journal, as a matter of fact. And I don't think I've ever cried so much in my life. There were a few times I was cursing you because as I'm going through that thing and I'm just in tears, right? Because it just took me back to that ownership of, oh, hey, I may have provided a roof and food and education, but where's that nurture? Where's that listening? Where's that love? And I realized that I had left a ton. I had put all that weight on my wife, and here I'm going to give her the biggest shout out in the world, because here's what she used to do to me. She would put all the dates for everything the kids had on my calendar, and then 10 minutes before the event, or 10 minutes before I'd have to leave, she'd be on that phone. Hey, this is right now, don't you? Hey, hon, I don't care what you got. Pack your and you're on your way. Well, I can't. Okay, I don't think you heard me. You're on your way right now. And so she would get me to the event. So, I thank God she did that, because I would have just kept working. And not because I didn't love him, not because I didn't care, but because I had the wrong idea in my head that I just had to provide.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. That sand cookie is a nasty part of the 3-day event. It's funny, if for the guys listening or whatever, if you've been, you automatically know exactly what that is, and if not, then if you're wondering if you're missing out, the answer is yes, you are. You should check it out. I was talking to somebody the other day. Dude, personal development is so important. Like, you are an asset to your family. You better be making yourself worth more as an asset, whether you're reading books, praying, working out, whatever. Okay, what is, you can answer this how you want. It's a 2-part question. But what's your relationship with your dad? Do you have a relationship with your dad now?
I wondered if this would come out. Man, so I love my dad, love my mom. I would tell you that the role model that I had, and I'll just start off by age 7, divorced, by age 11, back together, by age 13, apart. I saw this on-off relationship, growing up my entire life. Junior year in high school, my dad gets hauled off to prison. So, literally the Fed showed up at my house, and I was at work, thank God. Showed up, raided the house, drug him out. Or I should actually say, we had one of the neighbors was actually in the house doing work on the house. They thought he was them. They drug him out, and then my dad showed up 10 minutes like, yes.
Oh no.
So this is, and unfortunately, and I love my dad to death. But he's a con man. So I saw my entire life, I saw promises made, commitments that were never kept. I saw this distrust. I have this vivid memory of being like 11 years old, and I take that back. I'm probably 7.5, 8 years old, and it's my sister, myself, we're with dad, and mom and dad they're not together at this point. And I remember thinking, it's been like 2 days, and I don't know that we've ever spent 2 days with dad. And we're on our way back. We're down, I think we're in like Oregon coast. We're heading back up to Washington, and we get pulled over. Dad gets hauled off. Well, he apparently stole us. And it was, this is, these are the kinds of things as a kid, your mind doesn't really even grasp. And, so I didn't see a dad as a role model. And I will say, the one thing I did learn from him are a lot of things I don't want to do, a lot of things that weren't functional. But I would say the one thing my dad did, and he did this well, I never doubted if he loved me. He did show that he loved. Now, it's not that he was, oh, hey, I love you so much. And it was in the, hey, you've done this well. You've done this well. Hey, you've done this well. I'm proud of you. And he did a good job of that, because if he hadn't done that, I don't know that I'd be as maybe assured in what I do as I am, because he cared enough to do that.